Yeah, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Can people at the back hear me? All well? Just as host? Perfect. So, good afternoon, everyone. This panel discussion on the mega trends on the BFSI and the HLS sector. We will talk about how the industry is moving, what are the mega trends, what are the key challenges that the enterprises are facing, and how service providers are playing an active role in shaping the entire landscape in this particular sector. But before that, let me introduce the esteemed panel with us today. So we have Shabnum Grewal, who's a partner with Avasant, and she brings in 32 plus years of experience in the strategy and the sourcing advisory and the digital transformation perspective. And she has helped clients across geographies with their productivity and efficiency gains and other objectives in the same sector. With us, we have Praveen Kona, who's an associate research director with Avasant, and he brings in 21 plus years of experience from the BFSI space and has experience across research, digital transformation, and other perspectives. And lastly, we have Eratha Poongkuntran. He brings in 20 plus years of experience in the healthcare and the life sciences domain with focus on research and clinical data management. Welcome, panelists. Thank you so much for joining us here today, and thank you, lovely audience, for joining us here today. So, as we all know, in this VUCA world, there's a lot of digital transformation that is going on. And BFSI and HLS sector are not the only sectors that are going through it. And with the advent of AI, a lot of things have changed, especially for these two sectors. Things are evolving rapidly. So enterprises, they are spending a lot in terms of digital technologies, and they are not only using technology at the enabler level, they are also using technology at the core segment level. So if we take a look at the study that we are currently doing with NASCOM as a part of the digital enterprise study, so we found that enterprises are spending across technologies, and agentic AI, generative AI, and predictive AI forms the core focus area for enterprises in the BFSI and the HLS sectors in 2025. In the healthcare and the life sciences space, enterprises are spending 18% of their overall digital technology budget to the AI piece. And if we take a look at the counterpart, BFSI, 16% of the total digital budget is going into the AI aspect. And moving forward, there are a lot of trends that we are seeing currently, right? In the BFSI space, in the HLS space, there are a lot of digital transformation that is going on, and AI is a core focus area of that. AI-driven transformation is helping clients and enterprises use AI to bring in the productivity gains or the efficiency gains and fine-tune their digital strategies, not only to achieve efficiencies, but also to achieve it at a value chain perspective level. For instance, we have the AI-driven hyper-personalization as a key focus area in the banking sector, wherein in this VUCA world, enterprises are looking at retaining customers, and hyper-personalization forms a key focus area or the key aspect to it. If you look at the financial services sector, digital wealth management is a focus area for them. Right. For insurance, it's the AI-driven hyper-personalization and the underwriting piece alongside the claims enablement of or streamlining of the claims processes that is coming along with it. So AI forms, again, the core focus aspect of it. If we talk about the healthcare perspective or the life sciences space, AI-driven diagnostics is being utilized to ensure that there's early detection of cancers so that we can save lives and prevent loss of lives. And at the same time, in the life sciences space, AI is being utilized for drug discovery. So let's deep dive into this. To unpack all of this, we have our lovely panelists with us. So let's talk about how these trends are going on and how service providers are helping enterprises with the challenges and how they're playing a part in it. So Praveen, let's deep dive into the BFSI space and let's see your thoughts on what are the mega trends in the BFSI space.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for being making me part of this panel, and along with esteemed colleagues, industry experts that are sitting beside me. It'll be delight to share my thoughts with the audience. Yeah, interesting times for the business and economy, as we all know. The last 2 years has been up and down, and finally the great election year is behind us. So more or less all the governments settled in, and here and there, more or less center to right governments being settled in. We probably are seeing stability in terms of geopolitical sense as well. And BFSI sector definitely is greatly impacted by this. Of course, some of the mega trends that we see in financial services space, of course, things like the great wealth transfer. Imagine $80 trillion worth of wealth is getting inherited from the baby boomers to their kith and kin. I mean, absolutely great time to pamper your grandparents. Uh, so this amount of wealth is getting transferred to the tech savvy kith and kin. So that is where you see a lot of, as Vishal was mentioning, focus on tech in wealth. So unlike the erstwhile baby boomers who wanted a financial advisor to sit in front of them and then discuss the various options that they have, these kith and kin are looking at a more tech savvy kind of advisory services. That is one major trend that is going to impact the BFS industry in the long term. Apart from that, erstwhile ultra HN and HNA individuals used to have access to alternatives as investment assets. But with technology innovations that are coming up, even the mass affluent segment in wealth sector also is able to access nowadays the alternative assets as investment pool, and also the green investments. So when we look at BFSI, they don't not just look at ESG as some compliance to follow, but yeah, to be frank, one major means revenue to make money as well. So these are some of the mega trends that are indeed impacting. And along with these, the business trends, the technological leverage as well is creating, for example, new service offerings in this space. So as per World Economic Forum estimates, around $35 billion is the investment done by banking in 23-24 in AI, which is going probably estimated to be up to 100 billion in the next 2 years, 97 billion to be precise. So if someone says the sector is not investing, it is down, revenues are down, is it true? No. So there is money being invested in. There is money on the table, but for the right projects. So, for example, as per our own research, Avasant research, 70% of GenAI investments by banking is being done in enhancing consumer experience. So customer experience is one of the key focus area where investments are happening, and aspects like embedded finance. So that is creeping into every feature of banking, even including insurance as well. We're in collaboration with fintechs, collaboration with even telecom providers to actually expand the service pool or channels of service provision from banking. So these embedded finance aspects are playing a big role, and new age products like BNPL. Not sure how many of you heard about buy now, pay later. For example, Lloyd's in 2024, late 2024 has launched. It will roll out in a couple of weeks or months in 2025. So basically, you can purchase a product and pay in an installment. There are already leading players like PayPal and Klarna in the market. Lloyd's will be competing with them. So you will see more and more such kind of products which were not able to be envisaged earlier because of lack of the technology wherewithal. So these coming into picture, and even I was discussing with some of the colleagues who have attended in the morning as well, insurance space as well. We are seeing a lot of digital tech coming in, wherein especially in PNC, you see drones taking a video and helping assessing the potential risk or the in terms of the premium payment and all calculation based on the real-time image analysis. These aspects are being considered. So these are some of the technology trends that are also impacting along with the mega business trends.
Rightly said, Praveen. AI and hyper personalization, they are taking the center stage for the BFSS space. So let's hear what Eratha has to say about HLS space. So, Eratha, is it the same case there also?
See, today we see the transition, of typical healthcare, correct, from it being reactive to being proactive. And I think over the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen that, the wave of digital transformation is transforming healthcare. And with Gen AI coming into play, we see that being expedited. AI and, let's say, predictive analytics, correct, fueling analysis to a more predictive mode. Now, if you look at the investments, as Rakesh had earlier highlighted, um, that you see investments increasing in Gen AI, correct, over the last 2 years. Initially, when we see GenAI investments, they were predominantly towards, chatbot-driven AI investments. But he did highlight that you do see a lot more in the drug design space and the drug enablement space, correct? And we also see a lot of enterprises investing a lot more in drug design and repurposing of drugs. And we also see, them working closely with their partners in these areas, which wasn't the case before. And within this, we see two key areas where one is in clinical diagnostics. And one of the classic examples is earlier this month, NHS UK invested around 11 million pounds in to see the earlier detection of breast cancer in the US, which they are running across 30 different sites. Another area well within the purview here is in the, I would say, ingraining IOMT in the to personalize health. And we also see a lot of companies like, I'll just give you the names. Copilot IQ and Bioformis. They've collaborated to kind of come up with an end-to-end platform that kind of helps you personalize your health, which integrates with your, let's say, the health system to manage your health end-to-end, and it enables personalization, which is a key factor here. And if you look at it, probably interoperability, the push for interoperability is going to be a major factor here. And of course, data and certain other cybersecurity issues that we'll probably discuss more later to understand, how this industry is shaping up in depth.
Interesting take, Eratha. But yes, of course, data interoperability definitely takes the center stage here for healthcare providers also and the payers also, because we need data across clinical hospitals, cafes and other, not the cafes, clinical hospitals, that other industries steps. So that definitely forms an aspect of it. So let's hear what Shabnum has to say. Shabnum, since you interact with clients on a day-to-day basis, so are these the way enterprises are looking at? So what are your thoughts on it?
So it's very interesting. We do see a lot of traction. There are lots of use cases that Praveen and Eratha spoke about. We do see a lot of traction, but I see a lot of chatbots and virtual assistants being used for customer experience, employee experience, virtual assistants helping in patient scheduling, scheduling appointments for patients. But there are some barriers right now that we see in large scale adoption, at least in the areas that I work with clients.
Right.
One is, the legacy architecture. Most BFSI and healthcare clients are still operating out of legacy architecture. And as you know that a lot of them would have grown with acquisitions. And with them, with that, they, the parent, they inherit multiple ERPs and bolt-on tools, applications, etc. So they continue to operate in those silos. They continue to use their ERP. So now when you talk about AI, you need some set of data, right? So there is no single source of truth. What is the data that they're going to use? How are they going to train those the AI agents? So that becomes a challenge. The second one that I think I would say is another barrier is about the regulatory uncertainties. I was in a meeting last month where the service provider was talking about AI adoption and Gen AI and agentic AI solutions, etc. And there was someone sitting next to me, and he was from a large bank, global bank, and he just leaned across to me and said, how are they thinking about the regulatory requirements? So that is very, very important. Regulatory requirements keep changing. Clients are a little anxious about using AI technology, which may later become non-compliant. They really need to work with the regulators. They need to work with the policymakers to come up with a cohesive framework for AI adoption. So they have to constantly keep themselves updated. So that's another barrier that they're facing. So they do need to think about that. The last and important one that I can think of is AI explainability and trust. AI models have to be transparent. Uh, what is the data that you're using to train? What is the source of that data? How are you collecting it? Are you documenting the process? How are you training the models? Is there any bias creeping in? I mean, no one wants to live through the experience that Amazon did way back in 2014 when they saw that, the AI agent that they were using to screen their resumes had developed a gender bias. So you have to have a very strong AI governance. You have to make sure that you audit your algorithms on a regular basis to make sure that there's no bias. So these are some of the things that I think clients are uh, probably using, or the reasons for them to hesitate and say that let's see the more success stories before we start adopting it.
Definitely, rightly said. Before enterprises take a detailed approach to adopting a technology, they are first hesitant about it, and then they take regular steps. But of course, they also do need to keep in track how the regulations are playing a vital role in that particular landscape.
Absolutely.
Rightly
Yes,
said.
absolutely.
That's definitely the point, Shabnam. And also, we have seen that innovation comes at a cost, right? There are also challenges while enterprises are going ahead with innovation and digital transformation. So, Praveen, if we talk about the BFSI space, so what are the key challenges that the enterprises are facing in this particular space?
Yeah, BFSI, along with healthcare, of course, is one of the highly regulated or a sector which needs to comply a lot. So the only blip is perhaps Trump disbanding the latest CFPB, Consumer Protection Board, which was formed after subprime crisis. So one less report prepared by Risk Management Group. So, but nevertheless, beyond this, there are plenty of regulations for BFSI. There is Basel 3E, the end game, about to be implemented, delayed, but there is already Basel 4 in line. For insurance, IFRS 17 is in place, which will replace IFRS 4. DORA is knocking at the door, and then in capital market space, especially cross Atlantic, we have seen T+1 settlement cycle being one focus area. Europe more or less aligned. US has announced dates. So these are the industry-specific regulations that are and compliances that are anyway being complied to. But with leverage of technology, the new form of regulatory surveillance has come into play, as Shabnam was also alluding to. So it's an estimate that around 84% of BFS enterprise are putting in place some or the other AI governance framework. So basically, for example, as concept of explainability, if we apply to BFSI space, now regulators are asking if the banks, if they're using AI and the AI rejects a loan, they should be able to justify the reason behind. Is it because of the behavior, the bad behavior of, or on while during the transaction processing, if they have observed any blip, that is why the loan is rejected, or any historical pattern. So if they are not able to justify satisfactorily, they are penalized. So that's the kind of impact, as Shabnam was alluding to, that uh, involving tech like AI is bringing on new gamut and new aspects of regulation that are in place. In fact, there is a greenwashing term that Elias has used. There is a concept AI washing. So SEC, as recently as in 2024, has penalized two banks, Global Prediction and Delphi Inc., up to a penalty of up to 400K USD, because they were found to be overstating the kind of AI usage that they're compared to what they're actually using. So these are the kind of elements that technology leverage is bringing into play. And of course, there are larger regulations. Again, EU's AI law. It has a provision wherein if systematically risky use cases are leveraging LLMs and they fail to comply, there is a potential of up to 7% of the world over turnover that can be penalized, or equivalent of 40 million, whichever is higher, sort of a thing. So imagine if a banking or a financial service or insurance entity with the kind of revenue that they have globally, if 7% of it is at risk, then that is something that you would want to be more careful about, not to take a stab at adventurously, etc. Uh, uh, the response from the enterprise has been not to wither away or keep away from AI, but rather use AI to enhance security. For example, HSBC uses AI to check around 1.3 billion transactions across 40 million accounts. More and more, it is no more a sample testing being done and then believing that the rest of the crowd follows. But the movement has been to, for example, zero trust security model. JP Morgan, JPMC uses zero trust security model, and it does continuous authentication of every single transaction that is happening. So that's how industry is looking at evolving it. Better to be safe than
Right.
facing the risk.
Definitely. So, Eratha, BFSI is a highly regulated sector. How about the HLS sector? What are the challenges that you foresee there?
I think the challenges from a healthcare perspective, I think, are pretty much the same. So it is data. You have bias that Shabnam had highlighted. And I think in response, I think enterprises are looking at building newer, I would say, AI governance models, as well as looking at federated learning models. Correct, because that doesn't rely on data being transferred. Predominantly with healthcare data, you have limitations of not to transfer the data across geos. Correct, so that is one of the ways in which they are looking at curtailing it. And if you look at from a cybersecurity perspective, let's say over 60% of the health systems still run on legacy models, which was well highlighted by Shabnam, and they are prone to attacks. And we very well know that a large amount of healthcare records are available on the dark web, and zero trust models, security models, is what is being implemented by current enterprises currently to cater to this problem.
No, definitely, that makes sense. And also, we all know that enterprises need to navigate these challenges, and they cannot do it alone. So they need service providers and the larger ecosystem to support them. So, Shabnam, based on the engagements that you had, so how do you see enterprises reacting to collaborating with service providers?
Um, Clients are increasingly looking at service providers to help them in this journey. But they also want the service providers to have a skin in the game. Like if they are introducing a technology solution, they want them to be equally responsible for they want them to be responsible for the outcomes as well. And also they want them not to just focus on their part of the services that they're delivering, but end to end. So they want them to, engage with the upstream and downstream stakeholders, talk to them about their pain points, then also discuss how are they going to measure the success. What are those metrics that they will track to say, yes, it is delivering results? How are they going to price for it? How are they going to share the gains that come out of these technology interventions? So that's one. The second one is that outcome-based pricing models, they no longer want the old age FTE transaction-based models. So I think everyone in the room understands that. So I will not dwell on that. And also looking at the time, we're running out of time. But the last one, I think, which is very, very important. Service providers are way ahead in the game of AI adoption, or even thinking about that, and how do they want to reskill, upskill their resources. And clients do not have in-house skills for especially things like cybersecurity. So I think they could benefit a lot from service providers providing them resources on a staff augmentation basis, or providing solutions that will fill these gaps. I think that is very important, especially in these times when everyone is talking of AI adoption. I think that's very important.
Rightly said, Shabnam. Thank you for that. Praveen, what are your thoughts on the same? Are enterprises collaborating with service providers? If yes, up to what extent? And will they be looking at new solutioning or something of that sort for the enterprises?
I mean, to be frank, there has never been a dull moment for providers in financial services sector, whether the markets are up or crashing. So we have seen it during the financial crisis as well, and even during COVID. Whoever was prepared and whoever had the technology edge and invested in the solution services was able to reap the benefits. Whether it was before 2006 to 7, everything was going up, the world will never fall down kind of a scenario, or when it was crashing as well. So I'm sure in the current scenario as well, especially for the small and medium players, we had alluded in last year Analyst Connect as well that GenAI has in sort of brought in level playing field with customers open and willing to look at solution services which are unique, which help them address the need, even from non-incumbents. So that's where, again, of course, be mindful of time. Two elements apart from what Shabnam has added is one, of course, is specialization that very aptly fits in this particular BFS sector. That with AI being used, there is a lot of AI governance to be in place. There are a lot of requirement to actually probably leave the automated tasks that AI can do to AI, but you need to have specialists sitting and monitoring and controlling and imagining perhaps what all can go wrong and where all things can go wrong, and proactively helping banks and FS and insurance agencies to not fall into that trap. So that is some area where specialization becomes very core. That will be a very huge demand from BFS customers going forward. The generic skill set or the generic, the bottom layer of the pyramid probably is gone, and the pyramid more or less looks to be a diamond kind of a shape in future. That's how the organization structure seems to be. And another aspect is banks want to retain the core R&D or engineering aspects in this space within themselves, and even willing to outsource the AI, the development part. So that means more collaborative work with the GCCs, which are much closer to home. These are the two elements in addition to what Shabnam has mentioned that I would want to add from the BFSI perspective.
Thank you so much, Praveen, for that. Eratha, lastly coming to you, how do you see enterprises collaborating with service providers?
See, I'll extend to what Praveen, kind of highlighted. See, it's going to be a specialized workforce and specialized solutions, which target core customer problems. For example, I was speaking with one of the providers the last week, and they highlighted that they're working very closely with one of the pharma majors in drug repurposing, and their solution is being tested extensively, and it has shortlisted around 15 to 20 molecules to be drug repurposed. And within a couple of months, probably they're going to publish that they're going to move the molecules over to clinical trials, which highlights that specialized people and specialized solutions is the way forward. And to add on to that, if you look at providers also need to kind of come up with solutions that can solve the data interoperability problem, and kind of look at coming up with solutions that kind of cater to to cybersecurity and federated learning solutions, because that is the need of the industry as of now.
Definitely, Eratha. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much, panelists, for joining us here today and sharing your thoughts on how the BFSI and the HLS industry is moving and what are the key mega trends. And of course, thank you so much, lovely audience, for joining us here today. Hope you have taken a note of how enterprises are shaping the trends and how the service providers are playing a role in this. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
Good day.
you.
Thank you.